I would like to first of all introduce our hosts today. We have with us Federico Alfonsetti and Marco Canali. Federico Alfonsetti is the founder of EasyReading Multimedia and the creator of the EasyReading Font. So welcome, Federico, and welcome, Marco. Marco is a co-founder of EasyReading and a big supporter and also a spokesman for the EasyReading Font. And we will be hearing from both of them today. And a warm welcome also to our expert speaker, Elio Benvenuti. Elio is disability and diversity manager, also from Italy. We are all Italian today. And he is a dyslexia advocate because he is also a person with dyslexia himself. We will be hearing from Elio about specifically about the topic of the workplace, so inclusion in the workplace for people with dyslexia. We would like to also send a warm greeting to Christina Bachmann, who is a psychotherapist and clinical psychologist. She will not be with us today because she had prior engagements, but she was very kind to send us a recording of her presentation. So we'll be hearing about the research that she conducted with the EasyReading Font with students in some Italian schools. A few words of introduction today and some housekeeping. You can activate closed captions if you should need them at the bottom of the webinar window. They are in English. However, some of the content today has been pre-recorded, so it has its own subtitles, which are more accurate than the automatic captioning. So you might want to shift the little rectangle with the automatic captioning when the videos start, so you get a better content, more accurate subtitles. Some words on the topic of the webinar and why we are talking about the European Accessibility Act in conjunction with the EasyReading Font. So as probably many of you will already know, at the end of June next year in 2025, the European Accessibility Act will come into effect. Currently, European countries are adapting or integrating their current regulations on accessibility to include the guidelines and the elements that the European Accessibility Act has finally laid out. And we are really all hoping very strongly that this will change let's say, and create equal access to services and products for European citizens. As we estimate, it is estimated that there are 87 million people with different forms of disability in Europe. And the European Accessibility Act is a big, let's say it's a big move to increase inclusion. So it's not only a question of becoming compliant with the regulation, but at the same time, it's a huge occasion to actually create more inclusive products and services, and also engage the disability communities in the design of these products and services. So we're all very thrilled about what's going to happen in 2025. And why are we connecting the EasyReading Font with this important moment? Although the European Accessibility Act does not specifically, explicitly mention fonts, however, both the European Accessibility Act and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, the WCAG, which exists already since a longer time, emphasize factors like text readability, adjustable text size, and contrast. And all of these elements are basically ingrained in the design of the EasyReading Font. So how can a font help inclusion and compliance with the European Accessibility Act and the WCAG. We're going to discover it today, talking to our hosts, so the designers, the creators of Easy Reading, and experts who are going to give us some context and show us in detail also some really specifically technical aspects of how the font was designed and conceived that comply with these regulations. To close this short introduction and give the floor to our speakers, I will just mention something which in the accessibility community is well known, and which is that a better accessibility also means a better user experience. So just like the Easy Reading Font was born out of a desire to cater for readers with dyslexia, it is actually a great font for everybody else. Just like accessibility makes any service or product much better and much more user-friendly for the whole population. So I will now give the floor. Today we have a very dense program, so I will give the floor already to Marco Canali, who's going to give us some context on Easy Reading. To you, Marco, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eleonora. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to this to this meeting about accessibility, inclusion, easy reading. A few words about easy reading, the typeface, the font. You will hear later on Federico Alfonsetti, who's the creator and the designer of the typeface, talking about the characteristics and the property and how the font was developed. So I'll just take a quick journey throughout the history and the origin of the typeface. So let's go back to some 15 years ago. Federico Alfonsetti, who is a graphic designer, faced almost at the same time two challenges. First, to develop a high legibility font for impaired readers, sight impaired, I mean, and at the same time, as a father to a schoolboy whose friend was dyslexic, to develop a typeface who might alleviate the impairment that dyslexia causes to that kind of readers. So we started to design this font, bearing in mind at the same time these two aims: a high legibility font for everybody, and at the same time a good tool, a good compensating tool for dyslexics. Throughout this period, and especially for the following decade, so up until 4 years ago, Easy Reading was constantly developed and adjusted and refined. It started out with some set of characters based on the Latin alphabet, but with time, the Greek alphabet, including ancient Greek glyphs and the Cyrillic alphabet, were added. And today, Easy Reading boasts well over 1,000 glyphs, glyphs meaning characters or interpunction signs as commas, question marks, and so on. So let's say that the Latin alphabet, the Greek alphabet, and the Cyrillic alphabet, who lies somewhere in between Latin and Greek, are covered. We think that Easy Reading is a good and effective tool, and we'll hear later on Christina Bachmann explain to us why this is the case. But don't take our opinion for granted. Easy Reading, the font, has been recognized by the Italian Ministry of Economic Development for its design. So, in other words, we won a prize. We have this endorsement. And this endorsement, sorry, goes to the design and the beauty of the design. So we're proud to say that easy reading is not only an effective tool, but it's also beautiful. Easy reading is used today by, and we'll see that in during this meeting, is used by many organizations, both private and public. The use spans from written words, printed words, but also monitors, computers. But more on this later on. I think that for a short introduction, this might be it. So I'll give it to you, Eleonora, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Marco. This is a good opening, especially the awards part, which is always a nice thing to mention because it has a national recognition, but and we really want to bring easy reading also abroad because we think it really deserves the visibility and to be adopted by more and more organizations. And now straight to Federico. Federico is gonna talk to us about how the project started, how he got the idea, and then he's going to give us some more technical aspects on how the font is actually designed and its characteristics.
Sono Federico Alfonsetti, l'ideatore del font EasyReading, e vi descriverò un po' la genesi di come è nato questo font. L'idea di creare EasyReading nasce da due singolari coincidenze. Nel 2007, durante la nostra precedente esperienza come editori, nella quale ci occupavamo di alta leggibilità e delle difficoltà di lettura degli ipovedenti, ci viene proposto di editare un testo sulla dislessia, che è questo: storie di normale dislessia, 15 dislessici famosi raccontati ai ragazzi. E quindi iniziamo ad indagare sull'argomento. In quel periodo mio figlio Giulio frequentava la terza elementare e spesso un suo compagno di classe, Lorenzo, veniva a fare i compiti a casa nostra. Sento Lorenzo leggere e mi accorgo che legge con una grandissima difficoltà. Parlando poi col padre di Lorenzo, mi viene detto che Lorenzo appunto è dislessico. Mettendo assieme queste due situazioni, scaturisce l'idea di creare un font che potesse agevolare la lettura a chi è dislessico. Nella fase iniziale del progetto, quella dello studio, dell'approfondimento, ci siamo confrontati con molti operatori del settore, psicologi, logopedisti, insegnanti, che ci hanno descritto le problematiche e le difficoltà del dislessico. Ci siamo confrontati anche con le famiglie, con i ragazzi che hanno questa difficoltà, e le difficoltà quotidiane di quest'ultimi ci hanno convinti ad accettare l'idea di creare un font che affrontasse queste difficoltà problematiche. Nella fase di studio, inizialmente, il progetto è mirato ad agevolare la lettura a chi è dislessico, ma in questa fase il progetto imbocca una strada più larga, quella dell'approccio al design for all, il disegno universale, per la quale la diversità è concepita non come un problema, ma come un valore agevolante. Seguiamo le idee sulla comunicazione di Bruno Munari, grande maestro del design italiano, che ci dice che la comunicazione visiva comprende tutte le espressioni grafiche, la forma del carattere, i limiti della leggibilità delle parole, tutti i mezzi che facilitano la lettura del testo. E fa questa affermazione: occorre che l'immagine usata sia leggibile a tutti e per tutti nello stesso modo. A questo punto la difficoltà delle persone con dislessia diventa per noi un'opportunità per realizzare un font ad alta leggibilità per tutti, una scelta inclusiva. Descrivere verbalmente come è poi stato realizzato il font, le sue caratteristiche grafiche, è piuttosto complesso e articolato. Per questo motivo vi proponiamo questo video che descrive ampiamente tutte le caratteristiche grafiche del font.
Leggiamo quasi con la stessa frequenza con la quale respiriamo. Ma se il decifrare le lettere non è chiaro e immediato, sprechiamo energie inutilmente. Il carattere tipografico è la cinghia di trasmissione tra il testo e il lettore e la sua alta leggibilità ci consente di investire tutte le energie nella comprensione dei contenuti. EasyReading è un carattere ad alta leggibilità. Supporta tutte le lingue che usano gli alfabeti latino, cirillico, greco e copto, antico e moderno. Pensato inizialmente per agevolare la lettura a chi è dislessico, nella fase di studio il progetto imbocca la strada più ampia ed inclusiva del Design for All, disegno universale. Le difficoltà del lettore dislessico diventano così un'opportunità per realizzare un font che agevoli la lettura a tutti. EasyReading è un font ibrido. Comprende lettere senza grazie e lettere con grazie dedicate, utili a prevenire lo scambio percettivo tra quelle simili per forma. Per le comparazioni utilizziamo il font senza grazie ad alta leggibilità Verdana di Microsoft. Ma per comprendere meglio il problema, prendiamo una matita e ribaltiamola in tutti i sensi. Pur ribaltata, abbiamo sempre visto una matita. Con le lettere non è così. Ribaltiamo come la matita la D del Verdana. È diventata una B, una P, una Q. Ribaltandola ha sempre cambiato di significato. Questo accade perché queste 4 diverse lettere hanno un identico disegno ribaltato orizzontalmente o verticalmente. Ribaltiamo la D dell'easy reading. Non diventa una B. La B è questa. Neppure una P. La P è questa. Neanche una Q. La Q è questa. Lo scambio percettivo è stato evitato dalla forte caratterizzazione del disegno e dalle grazie dedicate. Ecco alcuni esempi di lettere e numeri simili per forma su cui siamo intervenuti. Alcuni esempi di intervento su coppie di lettere che, se percettivamente ravvicinate, diventano simili a un'altra lettera. Affrontiamo ora il problema dell'affollamento percettivo, determinato da lettere troppo ravvicinate in uno spazio ridotto. Nell'easy reading, le lettere con grazie dedicate danno un maggior respiro alla lettura. Prendiamo una parola che presenta abbinate le lettere D ed R che nell'easy reading hanno grazie dedicate. Riduciamo lo spazio tra la D e la R fino a farle quasi toccare. Stessa riduzione tra tutte le lettere della parola. Nell'easy reading la parola è più leggibile. Stessa riduzione degli spazi in una frase che comprende tutte le lettere dell'alfabeto. Anche la frase è più leggibile. Nell'easy reading le ascendenti e le discendenti sono più lunghe di circa il 70% della media dei font. Questa specifica del design, oltre ad evitare lo scambio percettivo tra la lettera O e le lettere D, B, Q, P, G, determina più spazio tra le righe di testo. Riduciamo lo spazio tra le righe fino a far quasi toccare discendenti e ascendenti. Nell'easy reading il testo resta più leggibile. Ha scritto Bruno Munari, maestro del design italiano. Semplificare è un lavoro difficile ed esige molta creatività. Complicare è molto più facile. Basta aggiungere tutto quello che ci viene in mente. La comunicazione visiva comprende anche la forma del carattere. Occorre che l'immagine usata sia leggibile a tutti e per tutti nello stesso modo, altrimenti non c'è comunicazione visiva. Easy Reading è semplicemente un font ad alta leggibilità per tutti. Easy Reading ha ricevuto riconoscimenti sia nel campo scientifico che in quello del design.
Thank you, Federico, for this panoramic. Oh, sorry. Thank you for this this panoramic on the Easy Reading Font, both on the history and on the technical characteristics. We remind you that in the website of Easy Reading, you can find a lot of information and a lot more videos that actually show very different aspects. So we invite you to visit the Easy Reading websites. We'll be sharing the link later in the chat. And now we give the floor to Christina Bachmann, whom, as we mentioned earlier, recorded her her presentation on the initial research that she did with school children in Italy on the Easy Reading Font. As I mentioned already, Christina is a clinical psychologist and a psychotherapist, and she's the head of the SLD Resource Center in Prato, Tuscany, and she will take us through the hands-on experience she had doing research on the Easy Reading Font.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this invitation, and thank you for your patience with my English. I'm here to present the first scientific research conducted on the Easy Reading Font. This research aimed to assess whether this font could be considered a compensatory tool for children with dyslexia and reading difficulties. Let me tell you the story of how this research began. We already knew that visual, spatial attention, and perception play a significant role in reading, particularly in relation to the phenomenon known as crowding, which contributes to the difficulties experienced by children with developmental dyslexia. So we asked ourselves whether reading could become a simpler task for readers when we change the font used in text. In our clinical experience, we noticed that children with dyslexia seem to prefer books printed in the Easy Reading font. Even children without a formal diagnosis, but who struggled with reading, found it easier. Therefore, we wondered whether considering a text in Easy Reading to be simpler than Times New Roman corresponded to an actual improvement in terms of speed and accuracy. In other words, whether a judgment of preference would also correspond to the measurement of objective data. Here we'll show you the Easy Reading font. Why do we consider Easy Reading particularly useful for dyslexia? Primarily due to to its graphic aspects. It's a font with a very simple design, lacking what are called serifs that help children distinguish ambiguous letters and numbers, which they often struggle with due to their perceptual difficulties. Additionally, the alignment, the line spacing, and increased spacing between individual letters and words facilitate reading. When I met the creators of EasyReading at the conference on dyslexia, I noticed that the touring section of the Italian Dyslexia Association had expressed a positive opinion about it. So I asked if this positive reception corresponded to actual improvement in the performance of children with dyslexia. The authors were very courageous at the time because I asked them if I could use this font for my research and publish the results, regardless of the outcome. They agreed even to the publication of any negative results. We involved 6 primary schools from 7 different institutes in the province of Prato, my city in Tuscany, in Italy, for a total of 664 children. Children who did not have parental consent to participate at the research, those who did not participate in all phases of the research, those who have lived in Italy to less than 2 years and therefore had a limited knowledge of the Italian language, and the children who were absent on the days of the test or had significant disabilities were excluded from this sample. I would like to specify that all children participated in the test, but the data on the letter were not included in the research data. Therefore, the final sample consisted in 503 children with an average age of 9.5 and of different nationalities, but all with a good knowledge of the Italian language. We used the diagnosis tests that were used at the time for dyslexia, namely reading tests for texts, words, and pseudo words, as well as the test for the evaluation of nonverbal intelligence. Remember that according to the normal distribution curve, results that fall below the mean by more than 2 standard deviations or below the 5th percentile are considered clinically significant and therefore indicative of dyslexia. The children were then asked to read the same stimuli in 2 different versions, the original in Times New Roman and the modified version in EasyReading. The number of syllables per line, the graphic appearance, and the font size were kept constant, and the presentation order was randomized. 2 different passages were presented in a random order, one in Times New Roman and the other in EasyReading. A student t-test was used to compare performance on the 2 tests. Here we can see the passages and word list used in the test. Passages and word and pseudo words. Based on the reading abilities according to standard tests in Times New Roman, the children in the sample were divided into 4 groups. Group 0 was the group of typical readers. Group 1 was the group with good nonverbal intelligence but poor reading performance without dyslexia. Group 2 was the group of children with dyslexia. It means with scores about the 25th percentile in the CPM and 2 or more deficit performances in the reading test. And group 3 was the group with difficulties in nonverbal intelligence. The sample consisted in 426 typical readers, 54 children with dyslexia, 27 children with reading difficulties but without dyslexia, and 26 children who score below the 25th percentile on a nonverbal intelligence test. Mean scores and standard deviations were calculated for the entire sample and for each group separately. It was verified that there was no significant difference based on the presentation order. Test results were categorized using linguistic labels commonly employed in Italian diagnostic reports. Fully achieved criteria indicates a performance within the normal range. Sufficient performance indicates a performance at the lower end of the normal range. Attention required indicates below average performance, and immediate intervention required indicates clinically significant performance, below the 5th percentile or more than 2 standard deviation below the mean. Using these categories, we can observe that 1.3% of the entire sample performed below the norm when the texts were presented in Times New Roman, whereas this percentage decreased to 0.2% when the text was presented in EasyReading. We also found that people made fewer mistakes when the text was in EasyReading, so accuracy went up. If our diagnostic tests were presented in EasyReading, we would see a halving of the number of children who meet the criteria for dyslexia. With Times New Roman, it was 10.1% of participants. When the texts were in EasyReading, the percentage was halved, reaching 5.1%. In other words, if we use syllables per second as a criterion to measure reading speed, we observe an increase in the speed for all stimuli simply by changing from Times New Roman to EasyReading. Let's now examine the research divided into our 4 groups. In particular, let's look at the research of our group of children with dyslexia. We can observe that reading speed increases when using EasyReading. What happens to reading speed for individual words? In this case as well, our group of dyslexic children increased their syllables per second. We observe a more significant increase in accuracy as seen in the reduction of errors when switching from Times New Roman to EasyReading. The same happens when reading pseudo words. In fact, we see both an increase in speed and a decrease in errors. The speed of our children with dyslexia increases in a both statistically and clinically significant manner, since an increase of 0.16 syllables per second in the reading speed of pseudo words and 0.52 syllables per second in passages represent the average annual increase of a child with dyslexia. That is the natural evolution of the disorder without intervention. And it is also the goal that one wants to achieve with the cycle of rehabilitative treatment. In other words, it's as we have made them gain a year of improvement without any treatment. Let's draw some conclusions. First, students read more readily with EasyReading, as seen by their improved reading fluency and accuracy. This would indicate that EasyReading is preferable to Times New Roman for reading tests. Teacher can facilitate reading for normal and dyslexic reader by simply changing fonts when preparing exams or texts for the students. Secondly, the consistent clinical improvement that results from using EasyReading exceeds the natural annual reading improvement of dyslexic students, thus verifying that EasyReading makes reading easier. This allows dyslexic students to partially fill the gap between their reading fluency and that of their classmates by simply using this font. Third, the dyslexic sample considered in the research was 10.1% of the total number of considered students, double that of epidemiological studies. It was not possible in the present research to assess IQ with a multi-component test or to investigate the exclusion factor. However, a student with less than 2 years of schooling and children with a poor knowledge of Italian or a lack of education were excluded. Setting the cutoff of the Raven matrix above the 25th percentile helped to rule out children with underdiagnosed cognitive depth. Unfortunately, it was not possible to exclude the influence of emotional, social, or cultural problems. It could have affected student performances. Regardless of the above consideration, it remains imperative to investigate why so many students failed the reading test, as it is unlikely that they were all dyslexic. Based on the evidence collected and the consistent result, it can be concluded that the EasyReading Font facilitates reading for both normal and dyslexic readers and can rightfully be considered a very effective compensating tool for dyslexia and the facilitating font for all readers. Thank you for your attention. I would like to conclude my presentation by reminding you that after this first research, there have been others in which I have been directly or indirectly involved. This research have been cited internationally by authors who have repeated it on other languages. I therefore invite you to also consult this literature, which has grown over the years. And I wish you all a good work with this font that make reading for everyone. Thank you.
And thank you to Christina Bachmann for her presentation. And in the chat, you will find a link to a number of scientific publications that are linked in the website of EasyReading. And now we go to Elio Benvenuti. As we introduced him previously, Elio is a dyslexic advocate, being a person with dyslexia himself. And he has made this his profession, as he will tell us. Because he's a diversity and disability manager, and he is a member also of the European Dyslexia Association. Here's the floor to Elio.
Buongiorno, sono Elio Benvenuti, sono un Disability e Diversity Manager e sono anche una persona neurodivergente, in particolar modo ho la DSA. Tutte le forme della DSA ho avuto questa condizione in sorte che mi ha portato prima a fare una valutazione di consapevolezza della mia condizione, che poi mi ha portato a attuare azioni di attivismo e poi farlo diventare anche una professione, come quella che attualmente è per me questo tipo di attività, cioè saper valorizzare e supportare le persone con diversità o disabilità in maniera propositiva, cambiando soprattutto il paradigma verso le diversità e le disabilità, perché molto spesso, ancora oggi, nonostante appunto un nuovo panorama normativo come l'Accessibility Act e soprattutto la pietra miliare che ha portato questi panorami normativi come ad esempio la Carta Europea dell'ONU la Carta dell'ONU del 2006, ancora oggi c'è una visione che si concentra sulla condizione della persona, quando invece noi dovremmo valutare che questa non è una condizione ma una caratteristica che può anche essere molto impattante, ma può anche essere una condizione che se la persona ha capacità e competenze può diventare rafforzativa della sua persona tramite quella diversità, esattamente come una diversità culturale, e allo stesso tempo evitare di ragionare per sottrazione, cioè su cosa una persona non sappia fare, ma ragionare sul contesto in cui essa è, e quindi il contesto valuta l'eventuale diversità, che infatti, come sappiamo, può anche essere provvisoria e non definitiva. L'Accessibility Act ha la grande funzione che a livello europeo di dare finalmente un quadro normativo unico per essere realmente cittadini europei, perché essere cittadini vuol dire essere anche portatori di diritti e capacità di opportunità in tutti i paesi dell'Unione Europea. Quindi io credo che questo sia molto importante. Nello specifico, peraltro, mi occupo dell'ambito lavorativo, che è l'ambito dove ho sviluppato appunto da Disability Manager e da Diversity Manager le mie competenze più importanti. E porto anche, grazie alla mia essere sia oggetto che soggetto, anche testimonianza della mia condizione. Quindi mi piacerebbe raccontarvi perché è così importante usare strumenti innovativi come ad esempio EasyReading, che siano inclusivi e non stigmatizzanti nel mondo del lavoro di oggi. Perché il mondo del lavoro di oggi è cambiato enormemente ed è un mondo del lavoro dove per una persona con DSA ci possono essere difficoltà, ma come anche molte opportunità. Vi faccio un esempio prima generale e poi personale. Le persone con dislessia, un tempo, io sono di Torino, che è una città che ha una grande cultura industriale, specialmente metalmeccanica. Un tempo un operaio specializzato poteva essere una persona che non aveva nessun titolo di studio, magari non aveva neanche una grande conoscenza linguistica, ma entrava nell'ambito lavorativo per capacità esperienziali. Una volta si diceva il famoso capolavoro per essere selezionati in un ambito di lavoro. In Italia viene usato questo termine. Questa capacità esperienziale portava questo operaio a diventare sempre più competente, sempre più capace, fino a diventare maestro degli altri, fino magari a diventare una figura apicale nel suo ambito specialistico. Penso a quello che una volta erano i battilastra, prima dell'arrivo delle presse meccaniche, che erano degli artisti considerati veri e propri soggetti di grandi rilievo. Potevano avere una dislessia, una disortografia, una discalculia anche molto gravi, ma questa cosa non rilevava nel loro lavoro. Allo stesso tempo, oggi un operaio specializzato deve sapere una lingua straniera, deve conoscere le macchine di calcolo, deve magari fare aggiornamenti con testi spessi di questa grandezza. E quindi questa cosa nel suo ambito lavorativo possono essere una problematica. Ed è per quello che è necessario che ci siano queste soluzioni inclusive che l'Accessibility Act introduce e permette di poter utilizzare in tutta Europa, che permettano di eliminare queste problematiche e poter valorizzare le capacità. E qui parto sul mio esempio personale. Io lavoro in Alleanza Assicurazioni, che è una società italiana del gruppo Generali, che si occupa specificatamente di gestione vita e soprattutto e anche molto di investimento. Io sono entrato in questa azienda partendo da commerciale. Da dislessico, con una condizione di dislessia molto importante, entrai con un certo scetticismo, avendo il timore di non trovarmi nella condizione di poter fare questo tipo di lavoro, perché chiunque in tutta Europa si sia mai avvicinata a una polizza assicurativa sa benissimo che non è uno strumento di per sé molto accessibile. Caratteri in piccolo, documenti con carta copiativa, il famoso, in italiano diciamo assicuratese, cioè quel linguaggio di insurance molto specifico, e quindi anche la gestione del calcolo di polizza, queste valutazioni qua. Quando io cominciai questo lavoro come commerciale, avevo il timore di non presentarmi adeguatamente davanti ai clienti, perché le persone che io avevo davanti mettevano nelle mie mani il loro patrimonio. Quindi io non potevo avere esitazioni, non potevo avere difficoltà di alcun genere, ma riuscivo a fare questo tipo di attività perché l'azienda mi ha fornito un tablet con all'interno un'applicazione che gestiva e gestisce tutt'oggi, perché tutt'oggi esiste, l'intero processo di polizza, dalla profilazione del cliente fino al calcolo di polizza e calcolo di investimento. E questo mi ha permesso, tramite questa tecnologia informatica accessibile, di poter fare il mio lavoro senza dovermi più preoccupare di quelle difficoltà che avevo in origine. Qual è il grande punto di forza di questa cosa che mi piace sottolineare? Che è una tecnologia che è stata pensata per tutti. Cioè io non uso questa tecnologia in quanto persona con DSA o con qualche difficoltà. Questa tecnologia è utilizzata da tutta la mia componente aziendale. E quindi io non solo ho il vantaggio di non essere stigmatizzato con una tecnologia specifica, ma ho il vantaggio di usare una tecnologia che mi permette di interconnettermi con la comunità aziendale. Ad esempio EasyReading su questo è eccezionale a mio avviso, perché è un carattere che ragiona sui principi del for all in maniera completa, non è un carattere speciale, quindi non ti connota anche soltanto nel vedere che lo stai usando, non è un carattere per pochi, ma un carattere per tutti, che anzi migliora la lettura anche degli altri, anche dei cosiddetti normolettori. E questo non soltanto avvantaggia la persona che ha una dislessia e gli altri, ma chi ha una diversità, una dislessia, una forma di difficoltà di lettura, gli permette di utilizzare degli strumenti come EasyReading, come l'audiolettura, come l'audioscrittura, che sono strumenti comuni, sempre più normali, che creano appunto normalità nella persona che utilizzano e soprattutto gli permette di non essere una monade nella sua azienda, ma di essere interconnesso con gli altri. Questo è un salto epocale che non bisogna dare per scontato, perché un tempo gli strumenti compensativi, infatti questo termine che viene usato in Italia a livello tecnico, che a me non piace molto, piacerebbe usare più termini, strumenti di ottimizzazione del lavoro, una volta erano molto settoriali e molto stigmatizzanti. Facendo un esempio personale, nella mia scuola, dove io mi iscrissi nel 1997, come noi abbiamo le scuole superiori, era un istituto tecnico, non esisteva ancora all'epoca nessuna legge che supportava, nessuna indicazione che supportava le persone con DSA, però la mia preside fu illuminata e ha voluto darmi gli strumenti compensativi dell'epoca. Cos'erano però gli strumenti compensativi dell'epoca? Un computer, ma un computer del 1997, che se voi avete memoria erano quei computer con dei case grossi così, con uno schermo da 17 pollici che occupava tutto quanto il tavolo, e in più doveva essere spostato con tanto di tavolino cingolante all'interno della classe. Questo cosa rappresentava per me? Un lampeggiante sulla mia testa che diceva agli altri: io sono diverso. Oggi con questo device o con qualsiasi altra tecnologia che stiamo utilizzando, compreso il tablet con cui sto parlando, uso una soluzione che è completamente normale agli occhi degli altri, e soprattutto posso usare le soluzioni personalizzanti. Chi è un dislessico che legge molto potrà scaricarsi EasyReading e metterselo sopra i suoi device senza dover poi aggiungere altre complicazioni, perché questo è un altro punto di forza delle tecnologie odierne. L'immediatezza. Io posso audioleggere, audioscrivere sui miei device in maniera immediata, non devo passare da una tecnologia ulteriore, fare un ulteriore passaggio e crearmi quindi quella condizione di disagio e di maggior fatica, perché anche la fatica è importante. Ricordiamoci che un dislessico non ha difficoltà cognitive e riesce a gestire spesse volte le sue competenze, ma rimane sempre una forma sotterranea di saturazione. E questo ti permette non solo di superare la saturazione, ma di mostrare le proprie capacità, perché noi sappiamo che da ogni difficoltà una persona, se ha intelligenza, se ha competenza, se ha talento, riesce a essere una persona anche che porta un valore aggiunto. Nello specifico, e qui chiudo, sui dislessici è interessante capire come, ad esempio, il nostro pensiero divergente, come in molte altre divergenze, neurodivergenze come l'autismo, la nostra pensare diverso sia un valore aggiunto in ambito aziendale, in ambito manageriale, in ambito gestionale. Avere queste tecnologie che l'Accessibility Act finalmente garantisce ci permette di essere soggetti che sono protagonisti del loro lavoro, e quindi non ricevono un supporto solo, tra virgolette, per un motivo sociale o di responsabilità di impresa, ma perché sono realmente produttivi maggiormente per se stessi e per l'azienda. E questo è un punto di forza che diventa irrinunciabile, che grazie all'Accessibility Act e a tecnologie come EasyReading, finalmente i cittadini europei con una diversità, una disabilità, possono essere cittadini pienamente nella loro vita.
Thank you to Elio for your presentation, and it was really interesting because it's a very concrete perspective on the workplace, and it's really in the connection with the European Accessibility Act, which we really count on making people more empowered to actually work, which is one of the topics which can be critical for a lot of people who have disabilities. So we're really looking forward to more inclusive workplaces. So now we go back to Marco, who is going to be talking to us about some of the technical specifications and the compliance with the European Accessibility Act, but also about some of the organizations that have chosen to use the EasyReading Font and how they are using it in very creative ways for their organization. So we go to you, Marco.
Thank you again, Leonora. I hope that everybody has found this interesting so far. Before I delve into the specific subjects, I would like to wrap it up. I would like to summarize what has been said so far. We heard first Federico telling us how EasyReading the font was conceived and was made into reality. Then we heard Christina Bachmann tell us that the font is really effective. Okay, it reaches the purpose for which it was designed. And then Elio Benvenuti talked about his personal experience in everyday life, and told us how he found and still finds this specific tool as helping and aiding in his everyday activity. Then, okay, two things loom on the horizon. Two European, one is a European directive, the second one I'm not sure, but the European Accessibility Act, which will come in force next spring, if I'm not wrong, the early months of 2025, will somehow oblige every organization to adhere and to stick to some guiding rules as far as accessibility is concerned. And we were very happy to find that our EasyReading typeface was born since the beginning without knowing, with these characteristics in mind. The WCAG, WCAG, which is the second set of directives, prescribes that the printed text must bear some characteristics. And again, the way the single glyphs of EasyReading are designed satisfies these requirements. So, Eleonora, you can share the slides. Here we see an example of how what we saw before, similar symbols, which are exactly the same, which bear exactly the same design in other fonts like TMB or QMP. Those pairs are made intrinsically different in EasyReading so that people cannot or should not get confused when seeing them. And then this has to do with the both horizontal and vertical spacing between characters. There are so many ways that a text can be made more readable. Intrinsic character design, and then the way the single words and lines are printed. One might say, but given any font, say Helvetica, to mention one, I can easily adjust the horizontal and vertical spacing. So what's the big deal with EasyReading? Well, the big difference in EasyReading is that both horizontal and vertical spacing are built in. Yes, you can still adjust horizontal and vertical spacing in EasyReading, but most of the times you don't have to. The text come well contrasted and spaced out of the box. And so again, it adheres to the recommendation beforehand. Okay. Another guideline prescribes that when we reduce or enlarge text, the text should still be readable and reflow in an orderly manner. Well, EasyReading can do that. I invite you to try it for yourself. So please do it. And then, okay, this is possibly one of the main characteristics and the big plus of the EasyReading design. Federico mentioned it. EasyReading is a high legibility font and at the same time an effective tool for dyslexic readers, but it's just one font, meaning you don't need separate devices, you don't need separate solutions, you don't need highly connoting solutions like Elio said 5 minutes ago. It's one design, one solution, one font for each and every reader. No differences. Like I said 2 weeks ago, when you use EasyReading, we are all on the same page, literally, meaning that we read exactly every one of us read the same text, no matter how dyslexia or other impairments, visual impairments, can affect us. And this, brings back to Bruno Munari and the universal design. Applications. EasyReading is a font. Font means printed words, printed letters, printed signs, printed, carved, etched, shown. Think of any surface, any material, metal, wood, paper, monitors, computer screens, panels, totems, whatever. EasyReading has been adopted throughout the world by editors, publishers. Well, we see Médecins Sans Frontières, international associations, museums, universities. We saw, this is the exhibition in the Royal Palace years ago. This is a web page of the Ministry of Education. Literally, whenever you need to convey a message in a printed manner or in a visual manner, then EasyReading has a reason to be. The uses are practically unlimited. Think of use instructions, manuals, textbooks, newspapers, books, leisure, profession, literally anything. Oh yes, and TV, why not? This is Roberto Giacobbo, who urged his editor, his television editor, to use our EasyReading font in his own TV program. There's a story behind it. Whenever you need an effective transmission belt between the sign and the meaning, think of EasyReading. EasyReading is effective, has been studied, has been certified, has been proven effective. So what can I say? Try it for yourself.
Thank you, Marco. And as we approach the closing of the event, we might maybe, if our guests want to stay a little bit longer for the Q&A. So I will go straight down. We have a few questions, actually. Sorry. And the first one was already shared before the event by one of our participants who asked, is EasyReading Font the only one solution to enhance readability? That's a big existential question. So what do we say to this? I think you're muted, Marco.
I'm muted indeed. Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The question was from one of our participants who asked beforehand, is EasyReading Font the only one solution to enhance readability?
The correct answer is, I don't know. My personal wish is, I wish this were not the case. I mean, the more solutions, the better for everybody. But one thing is for sure, EasyReading is so far, and as far as I know, as far as we know at EasyReading, the only typist who underwent a thorough scrutiny. Christina Bachmann explained it to us during her intervention. So there might be other solutions, but probably they're not being certified and searched and scrutinized by independent organizations. This is all I can. But again, why not? The more, the better.
Yeah, definitely. And also we had a question that I don't know if we have the answer to, which was a comparison with another font. So the Atkinson Hyperlegible font. Already in the website, you can do some comparisons with other well-known fonts, but what would be your answer to this question? How does the EasyReading font compare to the Atkinson Hyperlegible font?
Well, first of all, let me state that I would really appreciate, and I yeah, okay. I went frozen. So I'll repeat. First of all, I would really like that some independent researcher or organization could make a comparison between EasyReading and any other font. But first of all, again, so far, no other font has been subjected to scientific scrutiny. And this is the main difference. Another difference that comes to mind is, and I'm browsing the brailleinstitute.org website, where the Atkinson's hyperlegible font is shown. No claim is made about dyslexia. So this font is is introduced as an easy to read, okay, font, and this might be a legitimate claim. I'm not saying it is not, but I would like to see a third-party institution support this claim. Another fact, EasyReading seems to be more complete because Atkinson's legible claims well over 335 glyphs per style and 4 styles. EasyReading boasts 6 styles, 3 different alphabets, and well over 1,200 glyphs. I think that's enough. But
Thank you.
again,
Yes.
I would really like to see a serious comparison.
Super. Let's say that many inputs that are coming today are also going to be very interesting to research more upon, of course, because it's an ever-evolving landscape. We have a practical question, and that is, can I use EasyReading on my devices? Is it available, for example, in Microsoft Word? We have one of our participants who asked this. And maybe we can connect with another question, which was, why should I pay for a font, for an extra font? And then maybe we can go a little bit on the pricing afterwards, but because we got a question on that as well. But why should I buy a font, and is it available on every device?
Can I answer, or will you take this?
You should.
I will. Yes, EasyReading is available. EasyReading is downloadable right now. I don't know if the link has been published, but if it has not, it will be soon. EasyReading is free. This is to begin the answer to the second question. It's free for personal, non-commercial use. More on this later. But back to the first question. Yes, it is available. It's a pure vanilla true typeface font, or TTF, means that it can be installed in no time on Windows system and Macintosh systems, also on Android systems. Yes, it can be used in Word, in PowerPoint, much like any other TTF font, and there are thousands of them. The only limitation will not come from the design of EasyReading, because like I said, it's a pure vanilla TTF font. It will not come from it might stem from the application you want to use, meaning Word is an application that allows you to install any kind of fonts of your choice. There are other applications or development environment, something by Google comes to mind, where you simply cannot add any font, no matter what. You buy the application or the development environment, and it comes with a definite set of fonts, and that'll be it. Personally, I have made EasyReading the system font. So I'm not talking Word or PowerPoint or any other application, but the overall operative system font on a Windows 10. Okay, the previous version, soon out of business, unfortunately. On my Windows 10 system, I know it might be used as the system font on a Windows 11 system, but it requires some tricks. So don't try it at home without supervision. I successfully installed EasyReading on my Kindle device because I connected the Kindle to through Wi-Fi to the internet. I downloaded the font, I simply installed it. I have installed the font, EasyReading font on my Android smartphone, not as a system font, but for some specific apps. So basically, the answer is yes, you can. If you cannot, it depends on either the operating system maker or the application developer.
I used it on Canva very successfully, so very happy to say that. So all the visuals for this event were made on Canva with the EasyReading font. And now we are really super late. I'm so thankful to those who are still following us. We will go on until for another few minutes because we had one question on the pricing because
pricing, yes, sure.
It's always an issue. So if we can give them a little bit of an idea of how the pricing system works, but we invite everybody who is interested and who just also out of curiosity wants to know more about the licenses to contact us through the contacts at the EasyReading website. So please let us know because every situation is different. But Marco, over to you.
Yeah, no. I mean, you summarized it very efficiently. Please get in touch with us because if you are an editor, if you are a school master or a dean, if you want to publish 1 book, 2 books, 5 books, there's no fixed pricing. So please get in touch with us. But to give you a rough example, let's talk about a university. A 2-year license valid for the whole university. It will cost roughly for a university with 40,000 students. Okay, a 2-year license will cost 4,200 euros, more or less.
What about small organizations, for example? Because like media agencies, we know that the pricing depends on the projects that you're working on. So each project has a license. But what about small organizations? We got a question on that.
Again, it depends on how small is small. I would say that price range varies from a few hundred euros for a yearly license to several thousand. But again, price cannot be and won't be an obstacle. Think of the benefits you can read both directly and personally, and in terms of image compliance, inclusiveness, and that sort of intangibles.
Super. Well, I think then we will close the webinar today. We went over 10 minutes, but I think it was well worth it because we did have quite a few questions. So I would like to thank all our speakers. So Elio, thank you so much for being with us. Marco, Federico, it was really lovely to have this occasion to talk, and we might be doing it again in the future. Let's see. For all those of you who would like more information, I'll just leave on the desktop the QR code, which you can use to access directly the Easy Reading website. And we loved having you here. Thank you for all your questions, and we hope you will want to start using Easy Reading, first of all, for your own personal use with a free license, which we have shared previously the link to, so you can already download your free copy to use on your devices, and then also for your organization. Thank you very much, everyone, again. Thank you to all our speakers, and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.